there. How are you doing on this now at the beginning, well, at least in the Northern Hemisphere anyway, the unofficial beginning of summer? I hope everything's going well with you. I hope you had a good weekend. Today, I'd like to talk about the difference between and but. I know you know the difference. Yes, but, and that's used deliberately in that particular case. Let's use the term something to the effect of when you're trying to get a goal that you're trying to accomplish. Let's just say you're picking lunch. I want a ham and cheese sandwich for lunch, but I don't have any bread. Now, think about what that essentially means to you when you think about it. You more or less say that and you decide, oh, well, so I don't have any bread, so I can't make the sandwich. Let's change this ever so slightly to I want a ham and cheese sandwich and I have no bread. Think about this for a moment. Now, let's do this again. I want a ham and cheese sandwich, but I have no bread. How does that make you feel? What goes through your head? What's your reaction? Let's do the I want a ham and cheese sandwich and I have no bread. You should sense a very subtle difference. Very, very subtle. If you think about it, it's there. Because the but, in a sense, indicates that, oh, well, too bad, there's nothing you can do about it. I can't, but, and therefore there's an implication of I can't do anything about it, or I can't do anything, or I'm stopped, or come to a screeching halt, or something along that line. And just gives you another option or another issue that you have to deal with. I have this for dinner, and I have this and this and this and this. So all you're doing is you're looking at the different items that you have and the different options, and therefore you're left to figure out what you're going to do with whatever you want for dinner. Let's do something like homework. I have a test tomorrow, but I also have whatever. Gives you a subtle kind of an implication that there's going to be a problem. If you say, I have a test tomorrow and I also have, you might still have the same issue, but do you get the same sense of that there's a problem? As it still seems to be as difficult? So that when you're doing the and, it allows you, or at least the idea here is to have you do this, is to think in terms that, okay, so, and you've got two issues that you just now have to figure out what you're going to do with those two issues. But in a sense, slams the door in your face. Does this make sense? Can you see where I'm coming from with this? Very, very subtle here. But if you start looking at it from the standpoint that and gives you more options than but does, then if you start phrasing some of the issues that you have to deal with, I want to lose weight, but it's very different than I want to lose weight and. Which one allows you to think more in terms that you've got the capability or the resources to do something about it? The and should. Now, you can go both, you can be negative about both ways, but the idea here is if you start allowing yourself to think in terms of taking all of those different options and putting them together into a new solution, it gives you a lot more options. So if you want to say, I need to make, or I have a lot of bills to pay this month, but I don't have the money. Okay, so that more or less says, okay, what am I going to do now? I have a lot of bills to pay this month and I don't have a lot of money. Gives you the option to start thinking in terms of new ways to figure out what you're going to do to find the money to pay the bills. Does that not? So that what I'd like you to start thinking about this week is how many times essentially when you come to a decision that you need to make or a problem that you're looking for, that you butt yourself and essentially slam the door in your face and close your brain off from thinking of any other options about how to figure out a solution for that particular issue. So that when you start looking at the and options, you open up the possibilities to start figuring out what else you want to do. Does this make sense? I hope it does. Because there is a very subtle shift, but it does make a big difference if you can start looking at the ands of the world instead of the buts. And think about how many options you might be able to start thinking about if you allow yourself to think in terms of and instead of buts. Your brain is a remarkable little creature here, because if you give it the option to start thinking in terms of different ideas, it will come up with some ideas. Now, may not always come up with really great ideas sometimes. No, all you have to do is look at a couple of ideas of what 7-year-old boys come up with sometimes. It's when they've got, time left to do. 7-year-old girls too, but 7-year-old boys tend to, are known more for getting into bigger troubles because they think in terms of all the options they've got, and they aren't also really the greatest things in the world. We tend to forget that when we get to be adults. We start looking at all the negatives and the things that close us in. Let's use the and start thinking in terms of the options we've got. So, this is relatively short, but I hoped it was helpful so that it gave you another way of looking at things to open up your eyes to the possibilities that you do, in fact, have. So, start thinking in terms of I don't have the money to pay the bills, and I've got some options that I can look for instead of thinking in terms of the door slammed in your face. Okay? And see what your brain comes up with. Just basically say, okay, brain, what options do you come up with? You probably aren't going to come up with a lot of great ones initially. If as long as you don't say, brain, that was stupid, and basically say, okay, thanks for brain, thanks for the option. You know, that's a good idea. Can you come up with anything else? Let your brain start sort of cogitating on those things. You might be surprised at what you can come up with over the time if you include the and instead of the but. So that's my thought for this week. I hope it was useful. If, as usual, if you know anybody who might find it useful, please share it with them and let me know what you think, and please give me your reactions to that. I'd like to, because otherwise I feel like I'm just sort of staring at this little button on the computer and I have no idea whether anybody's on the other end. So at least, say hi or something, tell me your name or some such thing like that. It would be really nice. But anyway, that's it for the day. I hope you found it helpful, and we will chat with you later. Have a good day, and bye.